Welcome to today's deep dive. Today, we are pulling from some pretty incredibly illuminating source material.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating one today.
It really is. We're specifically looking at excerpts from a text called The Biology of Belonging, Why the Human Brain Craves Drama. And our mission for this deep dive is actually a little confrontational, I'd say.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Because we're going to hold up a mirror. We want to uncover the, uncomfortable biological truth behind why we constantly claim to hate conflict, yet actively, almost obsessively seek it out.
Right, it's a huge paradox.
Exactly. So to set the stage for what we're talking about today, I want you, the listener, to picture a scenario.
Okay.
It's 11 o'clock at night, you have an early morning tomorrow, and there is literally a stack of unfinished work sitting on your desk right now.
We've all been there.
Oh, absolutely. Your eyes are heavy, you know you should be asleep, and yet there you are, bathed in the blue light of your screen, just deeply, intensely engrossed in reading the comment section of a vicious argument.
Between two total strangers online, usually?
Yeah. Yes. Strangers arguing about a topic that does not affect your life in any real, tangible way. You don't know them, you barely care about the topic, but you just cannot stop scrolling. You have to see what the next person says.
Right, it's like a train wreck you can't look away from.
Exactly. But here is the most unsettling part of that whole 11 p.m. scenario. A part of you actually doesn't want to stop. You are actively choosing this tension over rest. And we just have to ask, why?
Well, to answer that, we really have to look past modern psychology and go straight to evolutionary biology.
Okay.
Because if we ask that question seriously, we run headfirst into a very provocative truth from the source text.
Which is?
The human brain, in all its astonishing complexity, it did not evolve to be happy. It evolved to survive.
Wow. Evolved to survive, not be happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for almost the entirety of human history, surviving meant one thing above all else. It meant paying absolute, undivided attention to anything that might threaten you.
Okay, let's unpack this, because that suggests our baseline isn't supposed to be relaxation.
Right, not at all.
If we think about our ancient ancestors, their environment was essentially one giant, unmapped minefield. Every strange sound in the brush.
Every unexpected movement in the shadows,
Every subtle shift in the group dynamic around the fire. Those were potential life or death signals.
Exactly. And the brain that ignored those signals simply didn't survive.
That makes sense.
The individual who was completely relaxed, the one who wasn't constantly scanning the horizon for danger, they became a predator's meal. Or they found themselves exiled from the tribe.
Right. So the ones who detected those subtle threats in time lived to pass on their genes.
Yes, and we inherited their nervous systems. We are the direct genetic descendants of the hypervigilant.
But, the environment changed. We aren't sleeping on the savannah anymore.
No, we aren't.
So if you fast forward 100,000 years to that 11 p.m. scrolling session we talked about, the predator lurking in the darkness has basically been replaced.
Completely replaced. Today, the modern danger is the message that never arrived. It's the comment that went viral. Or, the passive-aggressive rumor circulating in the work group chat.
Oh, man, the work group chat.
Right. The kicker is that your brain has not had time to evolve past its original programming.
Wow.
It reacts to social and digital tension using the exact same physiological machinery it used to react to a physical threat.
So it literally doesn't know the difference.
It doesn't know the difference between a looming saber-toothed tiger and a vicious online debate.
Yeah.
It just registers uncertainty and potential danger.
Okay, I understand the physical reaction. If my brain thinks a Twitter fight is a physical predator, that explains why my shoulders get tense and my heart rate elevates.
Yeah, that's the adrenaline.
But why does it feel almost rewarding? If I see a physical predator, I want to run away. But if I see an internet argument, I want to pull up a chair. Why is my brain rewarding me for finding a threat?
So this brings us to a massive misunderstanding about our own brain chemistry today.
Okay, lay it on me.
Now, if you're familiar with modern habit research, you probably already know that dopamine isn't just the pleasure chemical.
Right. People always say it's like the happy chemical, but that's not quite true.
No. We used to think the brain released it as a reward when something joyful happened, but the neurobiology is much more nuanced. Dopamine actually responds to anticipation.
Anticipation.
Yes. It floods your system when there's uncertainty, when there's the possibility that something important is about to happen.
Okay, wait. So to put it another way, dopamine is less like the feeling of satisfaction after eating a delicious meal and more like the suspenseful drum roll before a magician reveals a trick.
That is a perfect analogy, yes.
Is that rising tension of what's behind the curtain? How does this end?
And that drum roll is the exact mechanism being hijacked when you're doom scrolling.
Oh, wow.
When you read a heated argument online, or when a story with real interpersonal drama doesn't have a clear resolution yet, your brain just dumps dopamine into your system.
Because it's waiting for the reveal.
Because your brain is interpreting that unresolved chaos as urgent, important information. You have to stay tuned in to figure out how the threat resolves.
And urgency feels like being alive. It jolts you awake.
Exactly.
So drama hooks you not because you enjoy suffering and, not because you're weak-willed. Your brain is functioning flawlessly, exactly as it was designed to. It is tracking uncertainty.
Which is an incredibly powerful survival tool. But we have to ask, how did early humans put that survival mechanism to use on a daily basis?
Right, when there weren't external predators actively hunting them 24/7.
Exactly. According to the source material, they applied this threat tracking system to their own tribes. They invented gossip.
Wait, gossip as a survival tool? I have a hard time buying that.
It sounds strange, I know.
Because, when people are trash-talking a coworker today, they aren't thinking, oh, I'm trying to survive a harsh winter. They're just being mean. So how does biology actually override the malice there?
Well, malice is often just the surface-level symptom of a much deeper unconscious drive for security. The text frames gossip not as a moral failing, but as an ancient social technology.
Social technology, I like that.
In a small tribe of early humans, say 50 to 100 people, information was literal power.
Right.
Knowing who was trustworthy, knowing who betrayed whom behind the caves, or who took extra food when no one was looking, that wasn't just idle chatter.
It was essential data.
It was essential data for navigating the social hierarchy. Sharing that information bonded people together. It positioned individuals within the group and made them feel relevant.
Because if you have the information, you're valuable to the tribe. And if you're valuable, you won't be left behind.
Exactly.
And the modern equivalents are everywhere. It's the work group chat that suddenly explodes at midnight because the boss sent a weird email.
Oh, yeah.
Or it's that incredibly tense family text thread after a disastrous holiday dinner. The venue changed, but the underlying logic is identical. It's like, I know something, you need to know it, and sharing it connects us.
Neurologically speaking, the brain classifies tribal belonging as a foundational need.
Really? Like on par with physical need?
Yes. It categorizes social connection in the same deep survival circuitry as the need for water or the need for food.
That is wild.
And gossip actively stimulates those exact tribal belonging circuits. The brain isn't judging the morality of the action, It's registering the feeling of relevance.
So when you share a piece of juicy gossip, your brain receives the biological signal, like, I am providing value, I am part of the group, I am safe.
Exactly. The driving force is that desperate biological need for connection and the feeling of being essential to the tribe.
Okay, so if our nervous system wires connection and emotional tension to survival, what happens when we apply that exact same crossed wire to a one-on-one romantic partnership?
Yeah, that gets complicated.
Because the source material makes a connection here about toxic relationships that, frankly, completely reframes how we think about love and conflict.
It does. People exiting toxic, highly traumatic relationships frequently report something that sounds totally contradictory.
What do they say?
They say that during the calm periods, when there was no fighting, no crisis, no tension, they felt bored, sometimes even anxious.
Anxious because it was calm.
Right. But during the intense conflicts or in those tearful reconciliations after a massive fight, they felt deeply alive.
It's incredibly easy for people on the outside to judge that and say, well, they just love the drama.
Exactly. But the text explains the underlying mechanism.
Yeah.
And it is entirely physiological.
How so?
Well, in the human brain, the threat system and the reward system actually share overlapping circuitry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When you experience fear or anxiety, your sympathetic nervous system kicks in. Your adrenal glands pump out epinephrine. Your heart rate increases. Your pupils physically dilate to take in more light, and your breathing quickens.
Right. Fight or flight.
Exactly. Now think about what happens to your body when you experience intense passion or excitement.
Oh, it's the exact same physiological response, isn't it?
It is. Sweaty palms, rapid heartbeat, hyperfocus.
So the body reacts the same way, and it's just the brain that has to use context clues to decide whether to label this physical arousal as panic or passion.
That's it perfectly. So in a relationship characterized by high emotional tension and constant conflict, both the threat and reward systems are firing constantly.
Just nonstop.
The brain has to process all this physiological arousal,
Mhm.
and over time, it essentially crosses the wires. It begins to confuse the emotional roller coaster.
The adrenaline of the fight and the dopamine of the makeup.
Yes, it confuses that with undeniable proof that the relationship matters.
So the brain gets reprogrammed to associate stability and peace with emptiness. It literally thinks, if my heart isn't racing, if I'm not terrified of losing this person, I must not be in love, this must not be important.
Right. The brain learns a really dangerous lesson. It learns, I am only activated when things are chaotic, therefore chaos equals importance. And once you understand that shared circuitry, the fact that human biology can so easily confuse a state of threat with a state of vital connection, you can see how this scales up massively when we look at the broader culture.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting and frankly a little ironic.
Yeah.
We take this exact same biological vulnerability, right? This shared circuit of threat and reward, this craving for the dopamine drumroll, and we plug it into the internet.
Oh, yes.
And what we get is the modern online outrage machine.
Outrage is arguably the most stimulating emotion a human being can experience.
Really, the most stimulating.
Think about it. Let's look at the mechanism of what happens when you see a headline or a post that makes you absolutely furious. Your body physically changes instantly.
Right.
It releases a flood of cortisol, the primary stress hormone, along with adrenaline. Your heart rate physically rises. Your attention sharpens into a laser focus, eliminating all peripheral distractions.
They're zeroed in.
You suddenly feel incredibly awake, and more importantly, you feel a surge of self-righteous purpose.
And that biological jolt feels powerful. It's not like a soft, relaxing pleasure. It's the feeling of raw energy.
Exactly.
And the irony here is just staggering to me. Millions of people will drop whatever productive thing they are doing in their actual lives to form incredibly intense opinions about things that do not impact them at all.
None whatsoever.
We are willingly trading genuine peace of mind for a cheap biological jolt of adrenaline just to feel activated.
And the engineers who built our social media platforms understood this biological vulnerability long before the general public did.
Oh, they knew exactly what they were doing.
If we look at how algorithms operate, they are not designed to optimize for your happiness or your contentment.
Right, because contentment doesn't drive engagement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A happy, content person puts their phone down and goes for a walk.
An activated, outraged person stays and scrolls, they comment, they share, they fight.
Nothing activates a human being more efficiently than witnessing something that violates their internal sense of justice. So, what social media platforms innocently label relevant content is, in reality, carefully dosed drama.
Carefully dosed drama.
It is perfectly calibrated to trigger your cortisol and keep your threat-reward circuits firing. It's just exploiting your evolutionary drive to track danger.
That is unsettling. But what happens when the dose gets too high? Because the source text goes into a territory that feels deeply personal for a lot of people.
It does.
We've talked about how relationships and the internet use drama to activate us, but what about individuals who come to rely entirely on that activation just to function day to day?
Right, where it's no longer just a reaction.
Exactly, where drama stops being a form of entertainment or a misguided attempt at connection, and it actually becomes their core identity.
Yeah, the text highlights that there are individuals who unconsciously position themselves at the center of every conflict.
We all know someone like that.
They always have an urgent, dramatic story to tell. Every minor inconvenience is a huge crisis. Every disagreement is a profound betrayal. They manufacture chaos because without drama surrounding them, they don't actually know who they are. Drama serves a very specific hidden psychological function for them. It fills the void.
The void, meaning the internal landscape,
Yeah.
right? Their own thoughts and feelings.
Exactly. When there is no external conflict to focus on, the mind is forced to face itself. It has to sit in the silence.
And that can be loud.
Extremely loud. It has to face its own unanswered questions, its unnamed fears, its insecurities, and its past traumas.
Yeah.
For many people, that internal silence is infinitely more terrifying than any external drama could ever be.
So the external chaos acts as like a highly effective form of anesthesia for interior silence.
That's a great way to put it. As long as you are fighting a war outside, you don't have to fight the war inside.
Anesthesia for interior silence. I want to pause on that and actually turn this directly to you, the listener.
Yeah, it's worth reflecting on.
Think about your own habits for a second. How many times have you reached for noise? Picked up your phone the second you were alone, turned on a video or something, just to have voices in the room, or inserted yourself into a conversation.
Simply to avoid hearing what was happening inside your own head.
Exactly.
It's a really confronting realization.
Yeah.
Because when you live in a state of constant emotional tension, using external chaos to numb that internal void, your brain eventually adapts to that baseline.
Right, the new normal.
Over time, the brain loses the ability to distinguish between being truly alive and simply being activated.
So you literally forget what genuine peace feels like because your hypervigilant nervous system interprets peace as a threat.
Yes, it feels like boredom or emptiness. It feels
Okay.
like you're missing something vital.
But we aren't just stuck this way, right? We are not passive victims of our evolutionary wiring.
No, thankfully. As the text argues, we might be the unconscious biological architects of our own trauma, but we absolutely have the capacity to step outside of it. The brain can be rewired.
Which is the good news. The source material offers an exit strategy. And the most surprising part to me is that the exit strategy isn't willpower.
No, willpower doesn't work here.
You don't just try harder to ignore drama. Because willpower is a finite resource. It eventually runs out. The exit strategy is awareness.
Because the brain cannot stop responding to a trigger that it never identifies.
Right.
If you don't realize that your doom scrolling is just a search for an adrenaline hit, or that your gossiping is a misguided attempt to feel socially secure, you will never be able to stop the behavior.
But awareness is transformative.
Completely.
Yeah.
Once you name the biological mechanism, once you realize, oh, my brain is just looking for a threat right now because it thinks I need a purpose, the entire dynamic shifts.
You insert a wedge of consciousness between the trigger and the response.
Exactly.
So the application here, the actual takeaway for you listening, is simply to notice.
Just observe it.
The next time you're sitting in your living room and the calm suddenly feels strange or itchy, just notice it. Examine the physical sensation. Or the next time someone brings you a juicy piece of gossip and you feel that little bloom of warmth in your chest, that hit of dopamine, just observe it. The goal here isn't to judge yourself or beat yourself up for having a human nervous system.
No, not at all.
The goal is to understand yourself, to literally watch your own biology operate in real time.
Observation creates distance. And in that distance, you regain your agency. You realize that while a small dose of drama might temporarily stimulate you, a life fueled by it will only numb you to genuine connection and actual peace.
It's about breaking the unconscious cycle.
Yeah.
But as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought to chew on.
Let's hear it.
Something that builds on everything we've uncovered today about our relentless survival wiring. Let's say you do the work. Let's say you use this deep awareness to successfully curate a perfectly calm, balanced, beautifully drama-free life. A truly peaceful existence.
Okay, the ideal state.
If we actually achieve that, will our ancient survival-wired brains be able to handle it? Or will we simply invent entirely new, invisible threats just to get that biological hit of feeling alive again?
It's the ultimate question, really, of whether we can ever truly outgrow the savannah.
Definitely something to mull over tonight. Especially if it's 11 p.m., you've got work tomorrow, and you're hovering over the comment section of a stranger's argument.
Yeah.
Close the tab. Your brain has survived enough today.